Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. The leaders are starting to emerge after round 4 of the Candidates Tournament 2026 in both the open and the women's section. We're hitting the first rest day tomorrow, so the players typically on a rest day, depending, they might want to make quick draws and get out of there. But that's not what we had happen today. 4 games to show you. 2 from the open, 2 from the women. We start off with Anish Giri and Andrei Sapenko. But ladies and gentlemen, I know why you're here. You are here for Javokhir Sindarov versus Fabiano Caruana, a barn burner of a game that decides the lead of the open section. That'll be our final game for today's video. But first, Sapenko versus Giri. Sapenko starts with e4, and Giri goes for c5. Again, we of course have seen this from him already this tournament, and he goes for d6. We get all of this, and Anish Giri, to the surprise of literally nobody, when given the opportunity, plays the Najdorf Sicilian. And then here, White has got an infinite number of moves. Could play like rook g1, any of these bishop moves, any of these bishop moves. Anything White chooses. Sapenko decided to go for bishop to g5. We have e6, bishop to d3, bishop e7, queen e2, and now look at this lovely tactic, knight takes e4. And black is level. It's an interesting tactic because obviously you can take here. So it looks like you've sacrificed a piece, but actually the best move is to play knight takes e4. I imagine that the reason being is if you take here, and there's no games found in the database, there is knight takes c3, which hits the queen. So, for example, what is it one? Queen takes e6. It wants you to sack the queen to get this position, I believe, which is just level according to the engine. But black has lost the right to castle. This is what the engine thinks is the top line. No one goes for that, so knight takes e4. Obviously, in the preparation of both players, we get bishop takes, and now look at this, knight f5, not even taking back. Knight f5, now if you take, I take, and with a discovered check, we get bishop back to e7, knight takes g7 check, king to d7. Look at the time spent, these players know what's going on. We get short castles, knight to c6, Anish Giri now has spent a couple of minutes, c4, king c7 still. Giri now spending a few more minutes on king to c7, so he's probably now out of his preparation a little bit. Sapenko still very much within his until this move, knight h5. He decides on bringing the knight back, and we've just got a level position. So black has sacrificed the right to castle, but it's probably got a relatively safe king. But for the cost of a g-pawn, has open lines towards the white king. White's pieces are kind of scattered a little bit, but hey, you've got an attack ready against the black king. This rook doesn't have as much of an impact on the game just yet, and it's not like you can just swing it all the way over here. That is going to require some time. So, bishop d7, rook fd1, rook to c8, and now b4. Again, you can take, 100% you can take. It's not advised though, but Anish Giri takes. He just says, I don't care. Yes, you can play rook ab1. I will just take your bishop. And queen takes d3 is a mistake. The best move here is rook takes d3. Also, probably you don't have to play rook ab1 immediately. You could probably try and move the bishop somewhere else, but you let your bishop get captured. You have to take with the rook. And I imagine there's a reason behind it, because you now get bishop to a4. When the rook slides up to d2, now the king gets over to b8, and black is just slightly better. They've got a free pawn. I do not understand the intricacy between the queen being here and the rook being here. I suppose it's because this bishop move doesn't come with a tempo. And you can then immediately start to double up very quickly. But you still get, rook db2, but now it's inaccuracy and you should have played queen d4, which I imagine just puts eyes on the rook, threatens to infiltrate, keeps eyes on this, allows you to perhaps play c4 with a discovery on the bishop. Perhaps. Anyway, bishop to c6. Now you go for c5, but I just take. What's the big plan? I'm up 2 pawns. Queen takes a6, utilizing the pin, but now queen d5. Protects the bishop. F3 hangs on to the knight, but that one's hanging. kind of, if you take that knight, I take your bishop. So you've got to be careful with this thing. So rook to c7. Knight h to g3. It's a very interesting situation here. I don't understand why you don't take the knight. Oh, because you hang mate in 2 with rook takes b7. Bishop b7 and then queen here. That's why you hang mate in 2. Anyway, so rook c7 is played to guard mate. The knight comes back. Now rook d8 and Anish Giri is just better. Knight f2 is a wrong step, and now c4. I'm up a pawn. Yes, you can play knight g4. I'm just gonna bring down a couple of pawns, and now my bishop gets in the game. And yes, you have rerouted your knight all this way, and now it hits my queen, and it is threatening to jump in. You actually got nothing. Like, white's got nothing other than time pressure. We snap take the knight, and I play c3. And what are you going to do about it? Yes, you can play queen c2. I've just got my bishop coming in. And after your king goes to f1, now I've got queen c4. Anish Giri just dominates the game. Look at this move. Rook d2. Not taking or anything. Rook d2. Now, and then pawn takes d2. Queen is hit and hanging. And if you go this way, I will just like come down. And Anish Giri just wins. And so we move to the women's section. We'll revisit the open in just a minute. Jiner, Divya Deshmukh. Divya has had 2 fantastic games, but both ended in draws. Jiner lost earlier. She's looking to get back to level pegging. Divya looking to try and join Bibisara near the lead. We have an English with bishop to b4. We have, knight d5 and now a5. Look at this. Just, how could you play chess like this? Also, you will notice they have a different time control, and I keep forgetting that in every recap. They have a different time control. We get knight to f3, d6, a3, bishop to c5, and now e3. Don't want to take the bishop, it's fine. I'm happy to just get a nice big center, trade off the knight, and take this. And white is happy giving this up. Divya, for the second game in a row, is going with a bad structure, and it's gonna... It didn't cost her in the last game, although she was worse for most of it. It may cost her today. As the players continue to develop, black just has a -1 advantage. And honestly, I don't know how white's pieces ever make progress. Honestly. Yes, you can argue this black bishop is blocked, but at least it's putting pressure. What's this dark squared bishop doing? What's this light squared bishop doing? What is the knight doing on e1? What is Divya's long-term plans, other than I need to play faster because I'm down 20 minutes on the clock? So we get knight to e2, so perhaps this is the idea, to come in here and then plant the knight on e6, but even then, snap takes, and you have to play like this first to protect the pawn or something. So we give up the pawn on d5 to play bishop to c4, but now bishop to e6. You might ask, wait, hang on, can't you just continue to put pressure? You can, but there might be some tactics. So, for example, if here, there's queen f7, and now what are you going to do? You can play like rook ac1. Now I can probably just take this. No, I can't take this. Sorry, that hangs a lot of stuff. Probably play rook fe8 does one more job, defending the bishop. And now what can you do? You can play rook fe1, and now you can get away with knight takes e3. F takes e3, and we just trade everything, and probably in this position, Jiner is still winning, because she's up a pawn. Anyway, rook e1 is played. We get queen to f7, all the same. Now bishop to d2 no longer can be taken, but c6 reinforces the knight, and now queen b3 is wrong, because king to h7 is what played. Can just take this. It's just a hanging pawn. Yeah, I don't get it. There's rook takes e6, apparently, is what the engine finds. Rook takes e6, queen e6. I don't get it. And then, like, queen takes b7. Trying to go for stuff like this, but there's, like, rook ac8. Defends the pawn. I don't get it. Anyway, Jiner steps out the pin with king to h7. And now a4 just does nothing for Divya. And she loses d4. And now, yes, you can play rook e2, but I just play bishop e5, and my position is completely secure. I can even go for this. Look at that. Sack the knight to get the bishop like this. My bishop is hanging, but so is your rook. I move my bishop out the way. Your rook is still hanging. It goes to e3, and now d5, and now My pawn gets all the way to d4, and even though you create something on the queen side, I'm just offering a trade of rooks. My bishops dominate everything, complete domination for the bishops, and I win the game with d3. Jiner finishes the game up 3 pawns against Divya Deshmukh, and she's just toast, because you might say, wait, hang on, can't I take this pawn like 2 different ways? Not really, unfortunately for Divya. Oh, once again, my computer is freezing. Brilliant. Ah, there we go. You might say, why can't I take this? Or perhaps not. And it's giving me skipped frames. Brilliant. This recording is not going well at all, but we're going to push through. If it is too much, let me know in the comments down below. If it is causing too much of a problem with the quality of the video, I do apologize. It also seems like the website is frozen. Indeed it has. I'm getting that blue circle thingy. This is brilliant. Ladies and gentlemen, how do you think the candidates is going so far? I'm curious to know. So, Jiner moves to level pegging. She's got now 1 win, 1 loss. I believe this is Divya's first loss, if I'm not mistaken, and I remember correctly. It's only been 4 rounds. But the next 2 games that I have for you. Firstly, Muzychuk versus Kateryna Lagno. And then, the big one of the day, Fabiano Caruana versus Javokhir Sindarov. We first go to Muzychuk, who I said might struggle, but she's done it right so far. She's made plenty draws. We get a Spanish. We get a mainline Spanish with this variation. This delayed exchange, which has been played. It's been played in the World Championship. Jan Nepomniachtchi played against Ding Liren, and we got d3, and it caused Ding some problems, but eventually he managed to work them out. But the way Kateryna plays this, firstly, she's down a lot on time, and then she plays long castles. So she invites a fight from Muzychuk. We just get this capture and the queen moving over. So already, the bishop advantage that black had, gone. We have queen e2, knight d7, which sometimes is played a bit earlier. We get bishop to d2, b6, b4, king b7. Opposite side casting, we launch the attack, rook fb1, rook a8. Queen e1 looks kind of silly, but you're double protecting this and you want to push and do some stuff. We get b5, takes, and look at this, a5. You've got nothing. White's got nothing in this position, and now surely black is coming down the board. Well, I have bishop takes a5. What you going to do about that? 27 minutes to figure out this position. I spent 10 minutes of my own on the move. Bishop takes a5, calculating all of the problems. What do? Well, we play b takes a5, but now check. And now king slides over, and now look at that. Knight to c6. Hit the bishop. I'm putting pressure on the king. You take, that's fine. You play knight b6, perfect, you're covering everything. White has got nothing. Queen e3. Bishop d6. Now c4. Oh, queen h6. I give check. You block. We go here. We threaten repetition. I allow the queen trade. d4. And you take. Black had neutralized everything white had until this point. Queen takes. King slides over. And now c5. There's a fork. We look to trade the rooks. I take the bishop. Because you can't take back. It's now mate in 13. Rook takes a8. Out of nowhere, Muzychuk defeats Kateryna Lagno. She makes one mistake on move 28. 4 moves later, she is forced to resign. And Muzychuk joins Bibisara Assaubayeva in the lead of the women's section. We move back to the open section. The main event of the day in my mind, Javokhir Sindarov with the white pieces against Fabiano Caruana. We had what I would describe as a delayed Queen's Gambit accepted, but it is a Queen's Gambit accepted nonetheless. With e3, knight to f6, bishop takes the pawn back, and now c5. And really, there's nothing to see here for a little bit as they play some opening theory. Here, I mean, the players barely spend any time at all. Fabi here goes for his first think and plays bishop b7 in this position. Other games in the database have gone, obviously, bishop b7. They've also gone c takes d4. They've gone c4. They've gone queen c7. So he had some options to consider. The most common move is bishop b7. a4 challenges everything. And now b4. b4 is not in the database. There are 2 moves played here. B takes a4, ruining your own structure, or c4. That is what he's played. Fabi here, I don't know if it's a novelty per se, but he comes up with something very rarely played. He plays b4. We get the knight jumping into e4, and now look at that, knight to a5, putting more pressure. So we take, and he accepts a damaged structure with g takes f6. He could here have tried to play queen takes f6, but it may just not work out. I'm just going to check. I don't think there's any tactics. The only thing you have to worry about is e4. And apparently white is doing very, very well here. So that is the only consideration. G takes f6, though, is only ever slightly better for black. And now we get d takes c5. The knight comes into b3 to look to round that pawn up, but I'll just give it away like this. c6. I don't have to let you take it back the way you want. Bishop takes c6. Knight d4. Let's trade. Takes. Pawn takes. Again, that looks free. Can you take it? Bobby says no. He plays rook to g8. It's very tempting. Probably not. We have g3. Now f5. Bishop to c4. Rook to g4. Bishop to e3. Finally defends that pawn, by the way. That was just hanging for several moves. Again, take it at your own risk. But you can see, white's better. Sindarov is better. And the question is how? Well, firstly, he's up almost an hour on the clock. Where did all Fabi's time go? He had to navigate this position with a fine-tooth comb. So Sindarov does really well to get himself into this position. Obviously surprised Fabi with something. So he'd either looked at the position and had an idea that Fabi had never seen before, or something. He really caused Fabiano quite a bit of pressure. And even in Fabi's last game against Wei, he spent a lot of time. So we get bishop to d5. We get rook ac1, just keeping the tension. Bishop to e7. And now bishop takes a6. Sindarov is up a pawn. Cleanly. King to f8, just gets off the diagonal. We get bishop e5, and now bishop f6. Slight inaccuracy. Rook fd1. King to g7. Bishop to c6. You can play rook a5, but takes. Rook takes. Sindarov's up a pawn, and he's up a flank pawn, which could in the future be escorted by, queen and bishop from a distance, not to mention he's got the open c file. Fabiano Caruana is, dead lost in a Grandmaster game. He's dead lost. He has to defend this so accurately and find something. What is there to find? He's got light squared weaknesses, does Sindarov. It's not like Fabi's got a light squared bishop. He's got a dark squared bishop that is eating granite at the moment. So we get rook to c5. Fabi decides not to trade. He plays rook d7, trying to keep it complicated. But d5. Just marching down the board here. You take. Look at that. Queen f3. What you going to do now? I hit this, and I hit that. You can try and give this up, but I'll take this and hit your rook. So what are you going to do? Bishop takes b2. Addresses nothing. So we get rook c takes d5. I get my pawn back. Rook takes, queen slides over. Material is equal for just a moment. We both have pawns going either side, but it's just a moment because I get one pawn back. I push h4. Yes, you can go with c3. I push h5. Rook slides all the way. I give you check. We slide over. Check. And now you block with f6. And Fabiano Caruana loses. He's forced to resign on move 36 because of the move rook c5. Material is completely level. Sindarov is up 1 point of material. f6 cost Fabiano Caruana on the spot. Here it's already bad. It's +6. You're dead. You're dead. In Grandmaster level, you're dead. This move loses because it doesn't address one problem. That is the fact that the bishops see each other, and your queen and your king are on the back rank. And so what this move does, this final move from Sindarov, is it threatens to go to the back rank and to skewer your queen to your king. To pin it. So that is the idea. It would be here, takes. And also that would come with a fork. If you try and defend this threat, for example, rook a8, then easiest thing I can do is rook takes c3. and it's mate in 8 because the bishop is hitting the king and it's mate. So you would be forced to go for like queen e1, king g2, and then queen takes c3, bishop takes c3, and you would be forced to defend this and you would lose. And so, ladies and gentlemen, after 4 rounds, the open section is led by the young Uzbekistan Grandmaster, who is having the greatest 24 months of his life. He leads the candidates by a solitary point ahead of Grandmaster Fabiano Caruana. And that is all. After 4 rounds, the candidates. Sindarov, 3.5 out of 4. Fabiano Caruana, 2.5 out of 4. They lead the field. Who will lead in 10 more rounds? And who will challenge Gukesh and June for their world titles? Sindarov leads by himself. And then in the women's section, Anna Muzychuk and Bibisara Assaubayeva lead after 4 rounds. I said that multiple times. Comment down below.